Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky 194, and I appreciate you taking the time to visit my channel and check out my video. And for all you AMG fans out there, I got a really nice treat for y'all today. I have two setups for the price of one, which is free anyway. But I have two setups. They're a little bit different. One is faster than the other by a decent amount, to where that's why I made two separate setups, instead of just doing the one. They both have a little bit different characteristics, but this setup that I'm going to show here, we're just going to go over a few laps, so bear with me. Just a few laps with this one. I'm not going to show laps from both. I'm just going to show the laps from this setup here, the faster one, but I will go over both setups after that, and I will leave links to both setups in the description. Okay, so I don't want to confuse anybody, but we're just going to show a few laps like normal, and I'm just going to show the line that I use around Spa, and we will go from there. So let's start here in the back like we normally do. Coming up to turn one, basically this red marker here on the fence is my brake marker. I'm usually braking before I get to it, and I'd like to try to make a late apex into here, because you want to get this drive down this, obviously down the straightaway. So I'm trying downshift to first and then cut in and try to stay close to the wall, as close as you can. A little bit too wide. I'm about half a car length too wide. I actually like to be bringing right over here, but that's okay. Just try to run as close. I run it out wide. And the reason I run it out wide is because, as you can see, the road turns, and if you're over here, let's say your car length over here, car width over here. Well, you got to turn to make this corner. So, the straighter you can be, the more speed you're going to carry. So I'd rather be through here where you're not even hardly turning to go around here. Basically, you're not even hardly turning the wheel at all. Going up a Rouge, go up through here, and again, you got to be careful. This grade grading, as you can see, it's really bumpy. You really don't want to hit it, as it'll upset the car, and you'll coming off of there, then hitting the curbing and all that. It's just, you just stay on this curbing part. That's all you need. This car goes up a Rouge fine, no problems. Every single lap was pinned wide open. As you saw with the Porsche, you still want to stay, as I did in the CP race, you still want to be careful of this inside curb, as it could maybe wreck you, but I think the AMG is a little bit more tolerant to that than the Porsche. But again, I had no issues with it for every lap. Go up, stay close there. As soon as you get past, straighten it out, because you don't need to basically follow the road. Just cut it straight, and you won't get it out of bounds. Right through there. Wide open. Shift to sixth. And basically, I go right up to this curb, which is actually a little bit past the 100. You can go pretty deep the way I have this car set up. Not a problem at all. Stay here, and I use all this next curbing on the right as much as I can, and downshift to second. Right through there. And here, basically, I want to be hanging my left side tires off of this curbing. That's the goal. I really don't want to get on this green mat stuff. I really don't want to do that. But I want to hang my tires off of this curbing here. That way, you're right here to the left, and you're wide open from second to third. You hang to the left, and then run over this curbing here on the right, and just you're wide open all the way down. Up into fourth, and right past the curbing here again, pretty deep. You go down to second, and you can go two ways with this. You can, a lot of times you can go attack the
corner and basically just do an early apex and hug it around, which I try to go a little bit later, and I'll show you how how I do it. So I'm just a teeny bit wider, but I'm bringing it in, bringing it in, bringing it in, where I'm right next to the curb coming off. That's why I like to do it. That way you're more towards the center of this road, of the track here, instead of way out here towards the curbing. And because you need to be to the right over here for the next turn anyway. And then right here is an important turn, because this is one where the gearing of the AMG, it's okay, but it's kind of in between. You can stay in third and go through here, but you need to really have fresh tires and make sure you practice that to keep the momentum going through here. Because if you don't, you're setting yourself up to get passed. If somebody's behind you and you go through here in third and you don't really get it right and the momentum's not good, they will, I guarantee, they'll go right around you. So you're kind of leaving yourself open. So if the tires are worn or you haven't practiced, I would probably go down to second and then get the drive through here, and it'd be harder for somebody to pass you. You come up here, which has always been a difficult turns for me. I use this red on the fence here for my brake marker, like I do the Porsche. And basically, unlike the Porsche, though, you can trail brake with the AMG going in here. It's a lot easier with this car than the Porsche. You can go through here and be pretty aggressive and use and trail brake. And even if you get halfway through the double left, you can, again, just touch the brake if you need to do a correction, and it'll be all right. Now this, I hit the curb too much. So I hit the curb too much on this lap, and that probably cost me a 10th. Coming up here, you can go right. I go right past the curbing for my brake marker. I go down to third, and then actually as I'm going into the turn, I'm going into second. Right there. I hug this, keep it wide, upshift into third, open it up a little bit, keep the momentum going. And then here, I come up to this curb and downshift to second again, and then take this here. And then I try to keep my tires on this right line or the right side of this curbing, and you're fine. And then do the same when you hit this next curbing. Just try to keep it on the white line, your right side tires on that. But on this lap, I actually got on the curbing, and it upset the car a little bit. Now, again, it's good that stuff like that happens, because, I don't, I'd rather do it now and see than a race and ruin my race, or y'all's, and ruin one of y'all's races. So I'd rather see it go over that now and see what it does than not. So that's why I don't mind that once in a while. It's, again, trying to push it as hard as I can all the time to see what the car will do in those kind of circumstances. So see, I got on the curb, and I just had to catch it, but it probably could have cost me maybe a 10th or a little less. But still, it didn't wreck it. I never had to, just stayed in it. Wide open all the way through. I mean, all the way from back there, it's wide open, wide open. And then past the 150, in between the 150 and the 100, basically in the middle here, kind of like the Porsche. I'm on the brakes and staying here to the left. Cut again, and as you can see, staying right all over this curbing, which I like to do. I like to get basically on this white line or over the curbing. Don't touch the sausage part of it, and then stay to the right and basically to the left, and that way you can get a drive going down that little straightaway. So let's turn on the hood and go back in the car. That was a 219.77.
Now, the mile-an-hour difference between the two setups down here is none. They're both the exact same speed. At least from what I can tell. I mean, it'd be in the tens. Of course, they still have 62 liters. You know, it started with 80, still have 62 liters on the car. That was my fast lap at a 219.28. So I think that's, for me, that's really, really good for a race pace. So let's go to the last lap. Starting the last lap after 30 minutes. Too wide there. The Rouge, really good. They don't see really any sparks, just notice. And that's the big thing too. I mean, you know, I can't tell you how many people I've seen, you know, hit something going through there and wreck. So, I mean, you know, you want to be able to go through there with full tanks. You know, sparks ain't the end of the world, but I mean, you don't want to hit really hard. Probably one of the best setups I've got for Spa as far as race setups. I mean, the car, I can't even describe as far as just how solid, it just feels solid. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel like the AMG almost. I mean, it almost, it's very predictable, not going to bite you. You know, you can push it and it'll still tell you if, you know, if it's going to understeer a little or oversteer a little, whatever. I mean, it's not like it just, like I said, it's all good. I mean, we'll go over the timetables. It's the most consistent probably I've ever been, especially with the AMG. So, and have, you know, this pace. That last lap was a 219.56. So you can see that's not even 3/10 between my fast lap and the last lap after 30 minutes. I mean, for me, that's doesn't really get too much better than that. So let's go back to the garage and see the timetables. Um, I had a couple outs, but they were just the real minor ones. Wasn't like it wasn't. It said no time gained. I actually lost some time. So these would have been faster if I would have done it right. I actually lost time. So I had all except for the first lap, which the tires were not even still cold. I still had a 220. All the laps were 219s. Every one of them. Again, the slowest lap was a 219.99. So basically 7/10 was between my absolute fastest and absolute slowest. Not counting the first lap. I mean, again, my tires aren't fully up to temperature there, but still a decent lap for not having warm tires. So again, everything is just again, I'm just super happy with all this. And let's go to the setups. And this is the setup. This is the setup that we're the faster one, the latest one. And the tires are 26 all the way around. The toe is negative 0.02 with the camber at negative 3.2 and the caster at 12.5. On the rear, the toe is 0.07 with the camber at negative 3. Now, this is all the same on both setups. I did not change anything. The tire pressures, the alignments, everything's the same. So you can write that down for both setups. Which the next one's a 6.3 is the other one. The main thing is the arrow is the difference of the two setups. Everything else is exactly the same. Electronics are 4 and 5, and you can increase this one each if you like, or if you have a really long stint. It should be fine. You won't lose that much. Fuel, I had 80 liters, and this is the big advantage. And this is both. I did the full stint, a 30-minute stint with the other setup also, and it's the same. No graining, no nothing, no blistering, no flat spots, no anything. It's absolutely perfect. I don't know see how I can get really any better than that. And the other setup is the same. So the wear is really good, and they're both equal on that. So I'm really happy that this is faster, and I still really have no issues with that. Mechanical, got 6 on the anti-roll bar. Brake bias is 56. Steering ratio is 14, which, again, the AMG is, I have the steering at 640 on my steering wheel and in the game, but I want to slow it down so the inputs are, more exact. Again, this is personal preference. You can do whichever you want, just however it makes you comfortable. Springs in the front are 143,000 with a bump stop rate of 900 and a bump stop range of 5 on the front. On the rear, the springs are 119,000 with a bump stop rate of 600 and a bump stop range of 25. The anti-roll bar on the rear is 4 and the preload on the diff is 60. Now, the only thing different on the other setup is the preload on the diff is 50. That's it. Other than that, everything is exactly the same on both setups. So it's just the preload on the diff is 50 because I have a little bit more downforce on the other setup and trying to help it rotate a little bit with the diff, not locking up. The shocks are the same on both setups. 5, 4, 8, 7 on the front and 5, 4, 7, 8 on the rear. So they're both the same. Aero, I have 50 on the front, 76 on the rear with a 6 splitter and a 6 rear wing. Okay, and a 3 and a 2 and a brake ducts. Now all my temperatures, all my setups are mid-20s, are set up to be mid-20s and low wind. All my setups for all the cars. Now, obviously, if the track temp goes up 10 degrees, and this goes up to 30, and the track temperature is almost 40 or whatever, yeah, you're gonna have to change the brake ducts. Will probably have to go, be opened up forward and 3, and you're gonna maybe have to adjust your tires. Those are just depending on on your situation. But everything for the brake ducts and the tire pressures are all set up to be mid 20s. The front arrow variation is 1.1 to the positive, and that's more than the other setup. And I will show the other setup, not the whole thing, but what the main thing is the arrow. So that's this setup. Um, and let me load the other one. Now this is the 6.3. Now this is the main thing. Again, as I show you, the preload on the diff is 50, so that's the only thing that's different on this one. But the main thing different on this one is the ride height's 50 on the front, and on the rear it's 77, and the rear wing is 7, and the splitter is 6. So that's the same, that's the same, that's different, and that's different. So, and the front arrow variation is 0.7, so it's a little less. So for anybody that wants a little bit more sure grip, and with the brakes, you can probably run this more aggressive. You could probably turn the brakes down to 55 and be, if you wanted to, and it not be a big deal. You can do it on the other one also, but I wouldn't do it until that you need to. But this one you could probably run down closer to 55 if you want to. But this again, the speed between the two down the straightaway was exactly the same. They were both 162 miles an hour by the time I hit the brakes every single time. So the other place where it makes the difference is just through the curves. I mean, through the turns, it just it rotates a little bit quicker, and you can go through there a little bit faster. And then you just a little bit here, a little bit there, and the other one's faster. Also, the other one's probably gonna need more fuel. I have 80 liters for both of these setups, but to do a 45-minute race, and again, y'all put this, either make notes of it or whatever, but I try to let y'all know so that way if you're doing a race, you know how much fuel to put in it. You don't have to have a calculator basically most of the time to figure it out. So I try to, basically this one, the AMG, again, it's thirsty. That's one of the cons about it, which I do have a good pros and cons video. If you're interested in the AMG, in my all the pros and cons, they're on my channel under my playlist. So all the cars have pros and cons there. But anyway, you need basically 90 liters to do a 45-minute race here at Spa with the AMG. So I mean that's again probably more than about any other car that I know of. So again, the AMG is definitely a gas hog. If you were doing an hour race, you would have to fill the tank. You would have to have all 120 liters, and you would have maybe a couple liters left over. That's it. I mean, you'd be right to it to run an hour long. So again, that's the AMG. That's one of the negative things about it, is it definitely sucks up fuel. But that is the setups, and I will put again both links to both setups in the description. And I sure hope you enjoy either setup or both, and you can make it part of your library, part of making it your own. And again, I hope you give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel, and to help support it with all the YouTube stuff and help grow the channel. I really would appreciate it. And I sure hope that I see you at the races, or I hope you come back and visit again real soon. Y'all take care. See ya.